What is up, awesome people of the internet? Guys, a lockout may very well be the next thing that happens in the WNBA. We got another triple-double to talk about and a whole lot more because Quita in the Morning, guys, starts right now.
Are you ready?
Are you ready?
Are you ready? Ready, set, go.
Get ready, get ready, get ready. Guys, I've been anticipating this stream for a while because I was waiting for us to get some sort of answer when it comes to what in the world is happening on the CBA front. And we have an update for you all, and I want to kind of make this sort of an explainer of an update. I feel like I've been sort of following this this expansion saga, this CBA saga for a while now, and we have a bit of an update, and I want to do a blast from the past because that's what I do. I love old things. And I like to talk about what has happened in the past so we can learn from that in the future. Again, guys, I do apologize for the delay. I was just trying to work on last minute changes to the presentation to make sure that it is the most concise thing that's possible, that's helpful to you all, but also not too wordy. So we'll get through it. And we'll talk about it on the other side. But again, hopefully y'all are ready for it because we got some stuff to talk about. Okay, we got some stuff to talk about, and we begin with the headline of the day, guys. The expansion, I keep saying expansion, guys, because expansion is on my mind because I just watched the Portland Fire GM press conference and that's on my mind. Anyway, this is not about expansion, it's about the CBA. All right, y'all. Here's the thing: we got to talk about this because the WNBA's collective bargaining negotiations are not looking good, guys. They're not looking good. The deadline is October the 31st, and right now there is a real chance, a serious chance, that we could see a lockout for the first time in WNBA history. So let's break down where everything stands in terms of talks, what both sides are saying, what's happening if no deal gets done, and how this could have a ripple effect on all of the women's basketball ecosystem, including Athletes Unlimited and Unrivaled. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. First up, where are we right now? Where exactly are we? So the WNBA and the Players Union, the WNBPA, have about 60 days to finalize a new CBA, but according to multiple reports, there has been little progress for the entirety of the summer. The Players Association is led by Union President Nneka Ogwumike and Executive Director Terry Carmichael Jackson. They say they want a transformational deal. Their priority, it's a revenue sharing model that is tied directly to league growth. In the NBA, players get about 50% of basketball-related income. So the more that the NBA makes equals the more that NBA players make. Now in the WNBA, the cap rises at a fixed 3%. So currently, regardless of how much the league is making, the players don't see that change. And if you've been paying attention recently, you know that the WNBA is making a whole lot of money, guys. I'm talking a $2.2 billion media rights deal that kicks in next season. I'm Talking about expansion fees that are through the roof. Golden State in 2023 paid $50 million for a new team. And then we had 3 teams pay $250 million each in Cleveland, Detroit, and Philly. Players are looking at those numbers and saying, hey, we deserve our fair share. Quote, pay us what you owe us. Now, when it comes to what both sides are saying, well, the union is pretty sharp in what they want to say. Terry Carmichael Jackson put it bluntly when talking to Front Office Sports, saying, quote, the players are working diligently to achieve a transformational CBA that builds on the growth, momentum, and positive news surrounding women's sports and the W. As we approach the 60-day mark, the league's lack of urgency leaves players wondering if it is focused on making this work or just running out the clock. Fans do not want that. They are with the players in demanding a new standard for the W. So again, that's what Terry Carmichael Jackson, the rep for the NBPA, that's what she had to say. She's the executive director of the union. And she speaks for the players because players have said in the past that they've experienced some wasted opportunities in some of the meetings. Players want a transformational change and they want it reflected in the new CBA. Y'all remember, at All-Star Weekend, players warmed up to shirts that said, quote, pay us what you owe us. Because players are serious about getting what they deem is their value in the WNBA, and they are not going to roll over to what the league wants and the league's timing. Now, the league, they insist that they're committed to a deal in a timely manner. Right? A spokesperson for the WNBA spoke to Front Office Sports saying, quote, we have been clear with the WNBPA, but so there is no doubt our number one priority is getting a new collective bargaining agreement completed that addresses the players' priorities while also supporting the long-term growth and success of the league and teams. We have been meeting with the union throughout the summer and will continue to meet until this gets done, with additional sessions already scheduled through the rest of the season. And Kathy Engelbert has even said that, hey, they're ready to raise salaries. According to a source, ESPN previously reported that the league is reportedly offering to bump up max contracts from around $250,000 to over $1 million for max contracts. But for players, it's not enough without a guaranteed cut of league revenue. So, what happens now? Well, there's 3 possible paths. My format is messed up here. But anyway, there's 3 possible paths. You can agree to a deal by October the 31st. That's not impossible, given how far apart, but it's probably unlikely given how far apart the sides are. So the first option is the best option. Agree to a new deal by October 31st. Number 2 is not great, but better than the third option. Number 2 is to agree on a temporary extension. If you do not know, that is actually what happened in 2019 when the previous CBA deal was created. They had a temporary extension, which gave them an additional 60 days where sides could negotiate and make some stuff happen. For that year, we ended up seeing a negotiation move into January. That temporary extension did prevent a stoppage for the league. But remember, in 2019, the WNBA did not have 2 additional teams joining the league. Right? That's the complication for this CBA, which is why they really do need to get it done on time because, remember, we have Portland and Toronto joining in 2026. Expansion complicates things because, just like last year, the expansion draft will likely take place in December with free agency starting in January. A temporary extension still puts stuff in limbo land, right? And the third one is a lockout. If no deal and no extension happens by October the 31st, well, this means that the league business has to cease. And what exactly does a lockout mean? Well, lockout means a lot of terrible things. Now, it would prevent players from accessing team facilities, which is not the biggest of deals, mainly because the season will be over come October the 31st, and so players for the most part will not be needing to access league facilities or team facilities, I should say. But what is a bigger deal is the fact that if a lockout happens, there will be no draft lottery, no expansion draft, no free agency, no trades, no 2026 draft. Nothing can happen in the league until a new CBA is signed, if we go past October the 31st. Now, guys, I mean, as Jordan Canada's face shows, that would be devastating to the league and its players, because the league needs to conduct the expansion draft this December for Portland and Toronto to actually be able to do their thing, right? A lockout, not only does it hurt expansion, but it hurts the sort of momentum that the WNBA has. It hurts that. It delays free agency, which we all know how the majority of the WNBA players are free agents next year. And so it delays that, and it just confuses everything. It will turn this entire offseason into chaos. It will. And that's not what the WNBA needs, especially for a league that is growing leaps and bounds. So, what in the world is happening? Oh no, I remember I made a slide just for expansion. Guys, just so you all know, I will be sometime this week I will be talking about the Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, and specifically their GMs and what they want to do next. We saw yesterday the Portland Fire formally introduced their new GM from the Golden State Valkyries, and I watched the press conference, and I got a lot of stuff to say about that. And then Monica Wright with the Toronto Tempo. Updates coming about both of these teams. But anyway, there's going to be things happening that need to happen in order for business to get done for next season. And if the WNBA and the Players Association do not agree to something by October the 31st, it just screws everything up. But what might be in this new CBA? What could be some of the things that these players are fighting for? What could be some of the sticking points that the WNBA has? Well, one thing that I wanted to mention that I think has to be talked about are what I consider the ripple effects of this next CBA. With the increase in attention that the WNBA has had, with the increase in games, with the likely huge increase in income that these players will get, I highly anticipate that other leagues not named the WNBA will be affected. All right? By the CBA. Because the CBA does not just affect the WNBA. Right? other women's basketball leagues are paying close attention because stuff may be coming down the pike. Athletes Unlimited and Unrivaled are two off-season leagues in the U.S. They already overlap with a bunch of WNBA players. Unrivaled is exclusively WNBA players. Athletes Unlimited is a mix of WNBA players and non-WNBA players. And they have leagues that compete. AU is already set to go. They've been signing a bunch of players for their next year. And Unrivaled is all set to start in January. Right? They had a successful first season, and they're ready to make some stuff happen. But here's the thing. Here's the catch that everybody has to think about. If the WNBA enforces a stricter prioritization rule, or it goes into a lockout, more players may be trying to flood Athletes Unlimited, and to a lesser extent Unrivaled, looking for some income and some competition. A possible lockout could actually seriously help Athletes Unlimited even more than where Athletes Unlimited is right now. But we could also see a situation where Athletes Unlimited, Unrivaled, and leagues around the world could be waiting to see what the CBA says about participation in other leagues. There are already concerns that some players have about the WNBA wanting to push Athletes Unlimited and Unrivaled out entirely. The WNBA's perspective is, hey, we're increasing your salary. If you said you wanted a livable wage, if we increase your salary to where we're paying some players $1 million per year, well, we want you to be fully healthy when the season starts. Which means we don't want you to play over in Turkey, over in China, over in Athletes Unlimited, over in Unrivaled, right? So that could possibly be a sticking point. That is something to consider when these negotiations are happening, is what's the language around these other leagues and the participation that players can have. The union, they say, hey, players should be able to do whatever they want in the offseason. Players, they're going to continue to defend the offseason leagues that they've built, right? So that's the thing. So the WNBA might be pushing on some of those other leagues and participation for WNBA players, and the players are like, nah, we built our own stuff in the offseason and you can't touch it. Now, if there's a lockout, expect to see more demand for players going overseas for Athletes Unlimited participation, because players need more places to get paid if a lockout actually happens, and they have to plan for the future. So, with all of that being said, what's at stake, guys? Well, what's at stake is the first ever WNBA lockout. What's at stake are expansion timelines that will be in chaos. And what's at stake is the possibility of Athletes Unlimited and Unrivaled growing or being pushed out. Because the WNBA is the barometer for women's basketball in the entire world. And the future of the entire women's basketball ecosystem is on the line. It is. So the bottom line is, guys, that the WNBA is at a crossroads. Players want a new standard. They want real revenue sharing that grows with the game. The league insists it is committed, but wants to keep the economic model sustainable. Meanwhile, expansion deadlines Off-season calendars are ticking on down the line. If the October 31st deadline passes without a deal or expansion, the WNBA could face its first ever work stoppage. And the fallout won't just hit the WNBA, it could reshape the entire women's basketball landscape from AU to Unrivaled to overseas opportunities. We're watching, guys, history in real time, and the stakes for women's basketball really couldn't be higher. So, with that, I want to leave you all with two quotes. One I'm going to read, another one I'm going to play. The first one is a closing quote from Nneka Ogwumike. Nneka says, quote, the headline is lockout, and ultimately the goal for everyone is to get a good deal done. Hopefully it gets done in the time that makes sense. I don't think anyone wants to see a lockout. That's not something we're advocating for. We just want to make sure this is a deal that's done the right way. And we're using whatever time it takes for us to be able to have both sides agree on something. So that's what Nneka Ogwumike said. And if you all remember, guys, Kathy Engelbert was actually asked about the CBA and where things stand and whatnot during this past year's All-Star game. I was there. And Kathy's response, I'm going to play her responses to some of the questions. And her response is interesting. So let's listen to it, and then we will discuss on the other side.
We'll work through the expansion draft rules because it is something that is collectively bargained. So we hope that the collective bargaining process will be finished, and then we'll have an expansion draft, a two-team expansion draft, as you know, with both Toronto and Portland. So on roster sizes, certainly it's something we'll discuss with the Players Association. That's also collectively bargained. So that is certainly on the list as well. And, you know, again, we're in listening mode back and forth. There's a process we're going through to listen to all the priorities of the owners, priorities of the players, and kind of make sure that we're addressing all of those and as we look to the future of this league.
Kathy, next question to your left in the front row.
Hi, Kathy. Alexa Philippe, ESPN. When talking with players yesterday about how that meeting on Thursday went, some felt that there was no progress made. Some felt like there needed to be greater urgency to make sure a deal could get done by October. Would you agree with those characterizations, or where would you say things need to go from here, especially since it seems like there's no in-person meeting scheduled moving forward?
Yeah, there are meetings scheduled moving forward, by the way, but
in person.
Again, I want to call it constructive. You know, we had candid dialogue, and this is part of the process. You know, when I first joined the league, actually 6 years ago on Thursday, I was 4 days in the job, and we had our first collective bargaining meeting at All-Star. So I actually think we've had a bunch of meetings already, and I appreciated how many players came to the meeting. I thought that was great. Communication's important, and having that meeting, being at the table was important with that scale of players. And I would just say we've been through these negotiations many times. This is only my second one, but my team and has been through many of them. And I just want to say I really respect the players. We're listening. They're listening to our owners. And we're kind of in the middle as the league trying to make sure we're setting this league up for success for decades. And that's the goal, to have a fair CBA for all. I want a lot of the same things the players want. I said that last time too, and it's not changed. And but we also have to have a process where we go back and forth, and that's where we're in the process. So I'm, again, still really optimistic that we'll get something done, that it'll be transformational, and that next year at All-Star we'll be talking about how great everything is. So, but obviously there's a lot of hard work to be done on both sides to get there.
Thinking with the Athletic, just following up on that real quick, I mean, one, do you expect a deal to be done by October 31st? And two, regarding the schedule, is it necessary for the WNBA to expand the schedule, and what is kind of the ideal number of games in your mind or footprint for the schedule?
Yeah, good questions. So last time I think we got the CBA done in mid-January. I think it was actually January 15th or something like that. So obviously, I have confidence we can get something done by October, but I'm not going to put an exact date on it because we're in a good place and we're going back and forth, and there's a few remaining issues. We can extend dates here and there. Obviously, we want to have an expansion draft, a free agency period, everything before the college draft by the time the March Madness gets over for the women's game. So yeah, but would we like to get it done? Yes. Does it have to be done exactly on that date? We've got some room to continue negotiations if we're close at that point.
So that's what Kathy Engelbert had to say at All-Star. And here's the thing, guys. When I heard that, immediately, because I was like, that's footage from my phone. And when I heard that, I was like, oh. So it seems like there is not really a sense of urgency from the league. And listening to what the union has to say, and the statement that Terry Carmichael made a while that I talked about a while ago, that talked about not seeing that sort of sense of urgency from the league, guys. I think it's true because Kathy Engelbert at All-Star said that, hey, yes, they want to get a deal done, but at the same time, it's okay. They can not have to worry so much about the deadline of October the 31st. It seems that it's not a fixed thing, and that the WNBA is actually cool with saying, you know what, okay, we're going to extend this thing. We're going to extend it. So I got to say, looking back on Kathy's All-Star comments, seems like all of the urgency is actually on the player side and less on the league side. Because the league seems to be thinking, hey, we got time. We got time. And this lack of urgency that Terry Carmichael Jackson was talking about, I mean, I think it's true. Because, Kathy Engelbert has kind of indicated that in her comments at All-Star. And so that's just something that when I saw the report from Front Office Sports, immediately my thought process went to what Kathy Engelbert said. And I was like, I have the clip. I got to find the clip because I got to talk about it. Because, yeah, I don't think they have that urgency. But at the same time, guys, a strike would be detrimental to the league. Detrimental. We're going to talk about the games that happened yesterday in just a sec. But yeah, I just want to make it super, super clear. If the WNBA go on a strike, or if the WNBA have a lockout, right? And we don't see a deal made by the 31st, this is going to be terrible for the league. Think about the growth that the league has had over the last several years since Kathy Engelbert has been here. Now, yes, absolutely did it skyrocket last season, right? With the influx of Caitlin and whatnot. Yes, it did. But even before that, the WNBA has been on a really good rise for a while, a long while. And the idea of a deal not being done by the 31st and there being a lockout, it would hurt all momentum that the league has had. All the momentum would be kind of gone from the league. When you have to stop your promotion of the league, when you have to stop active plans that you have when it comes to the expansion, when it comes to even what's happening in Connecticut, guys, on the potential sale and whatnot, that like everything would have to stop if there was a lockout. It would destroy the momentum. Now, yes, would October the 31st be in the off season? Yes. Will that be as bad as it would be if if there were actual games being played after October 31st, yes. Like it's not going to be as bad as it would be if the deadline was on August the 1st. But it still is going to hurt momentum. And when it comes to businesses that are trying to grow, when it comes to businesses that are seeing things skyrocket, momentum is everything. Momentum is everything. And this is a bad look. This is a very bad look. So we'll see what happens. But I tell you, I'm personally, with the additional reporting that we've heard from Front Office Sports, I gotta say, it doesn't look good for the idea of a new CBA actually being agreed upon by October the 31st. We got 60 days, basically. We got 60 days. And yes, as I said earlier, we could possibly see a situation where there's an extension made, right? Both sides agree to an extension. And yes, will a temporary extension similar to what happened in 2019, that will be better than nothing. That would be better than a lockout. So, we'll see about a temporary extension. I could see that being a possibility. Again, that happened in 2019 when the last CBA was agreed upon. That was the CBA that Kathy Engelbert was talking about in the press conference. And that ended up working out. But this is a very, very different WNBA than before. And I feel like the players are way more forceful about getting what they want now than before. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. We'll absolutely see what happens with this situation. But yeah. Let's hear what you all have to say. Let's see what you all have to say, and then we'll move on. All right. Road 2. Went away. Road 2 says the league is showing fans what's important to them, and it's not the players. I mean, here's the thing. A thing that everybody has to remind themselves is that the WNBA is a business. And what do most businesses care more about than anything? Money. Sure, they'll act like the customer is the most important thing and blah blah blah, or their employees are super important and blah blah blah. But at the end of the day, it's about money, right? It's about money, honey, right? You know that phrase? Like, anyway, like, I think that's what it is. So it's like, yeah, sure. Yeah. The keeping the income that they have, and making sure that their owners are happy, including the NBA, which is a massive owner in the WNBA, making sure that they're happy with the income that they're getting and all this other stuff. Like, that's most important. And then it's players. So so first is making sure the NBA is happy. And then it's league owners, or team owners, I should say. And then it's players. Well, actually, no, I would say then it's probably fans and then players. The bad part is I think the WNBA is making the wrong bet. Here's the thing. You can end up getting more money in the long term, I think, if you concede to some stuff and you ensure that you have the best product available, which means you have the best players available, which means you are giving them a reason to want to stay in your league. Now, the WNBA has not paid well since it's been a thing, and players have played in it, but it seems like we're reaching a tipping point where we're seeing alternatives in the United States. Yes, it's happening in the offseason. Yes, Athletes Unlimited and Unrivaled is happening in the offseason, but if you look at the pay that they're getting, that players are getting, we're reaching the point where it's possible that we may see some players say, you know what? It's not worth it to be in the WNBA. Let me just do this other thing. And that's a thing that the WNBA does not want. You don't want that. And so you're going to have to give up a little bit more right now to hopefully ensure that once all of the rest of these expansion teams come through, not only do you have the best talent available, but you have the best structure available in the long term, not just for right now. And so that's something that's like, I don't think it's a good business move to not have a sense of urgency in this. But here's the thing. I don't have any money. So, hey, what do I know about what a good business move is? I just know what I see, and what I see, not only from a fan perspective, but I think just from a future perspective of the WNBA, I don't think it's a good thing. But, hey, Kathy Engelbert worked at Deloitte, and they managed billions and billions of dollars, right? She also answers to the NBA, who manages billions and billions of dollars, and reports to team owners who are largely extremely, extremely rich. So, hey, who knows? Maybe I don't know anything because I don't have any money. Maybe they're the geniuses. Or maybe they're not, and they're making a very dumb decision. But we'll see. We'll see what happens from here. All right? Terrence says, Quita, if they go from 250K Supermax to 1 million, I don't know why the players don't go along with incremental increases / renegotiate every few years. Well, likely in this upcoming CBA, we will see likely a opt-out clause similar to this year, where we saw a opt-out clause for this current CBA, which is why they're able to renegotiate now. You could see a situation, I could totally see a situation where the players actually agree to a final CBA that is not tied to league revenue. I could totally see that happening if the max is high enough, and then they'll just have a clause in there that allows them to opt out in like 3 years. But if I'm the WNBA and if I'm negotiating as the WNBA, I don't want it to be a opt-out clause in like 3 years when, you have Cleveland and whatnot joining, right? You wanna be able to make the CBA as long as possible. And if the WNBA wants to make it as long as possible, then it would behoove the players to tie their revenue to league revenue. But if you can make it a short CBA, then yeah, maybe a huge increase in salary with the certain percentage increase every year, maybe that's okay if it's short. And so I don't know. There's a couple of question marks, I would say. Tisha says the biggest problem for the WNBA is that there are so many other leagues that players can go to while waiting on the WNBA. The WNBA does not have that same luxury if the players stand together. Well, that's true. That is indeed true. But a thing to remember is that, yes, the elite of the elite go to Unrivaled and they make some serious bank. And others go to Athletes Unlimited where they make some money, but not a ton. And then others go overseas where some make a lot of money and some don't. And so I think when it comes to like the top 30, 40 players in the league, yeah, I think you're right, Tisha, that they can go other places and they'll kind of be fine in terms of money wise. But I think for a huge swath of the WNBA players, like the league's income is huge, and it'd be a massive loss for some players. And so I could see the top dogs being like, this is gonna be worse for the WNBA than it is for us. And I can see other players who are sort of like the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th player on the bench I could see those players being like, you know what? No, this is actually way more important to me than it is the WNBA. Getting this thing done so I can have some income. And so I think it depends. I think it depends on where players stand, I would say, in the sort of like hierarchy of sorts. But yeah, anyway, that's the news. I did wanna quickly go through what happened yesterday. Yesterday we did see 2 games that happened. We saw the Seattle Storm lose to the Indiana Fever. Guys, I tell you, Mama was I was talking to Mama about this game, and Mama was very disappointed in Seattle. She's like, what in the world is going on with Seattle? And guys, I've been asking that question for at least a month now. What in the world is going on with Seattle? What's going on, guys? What's going on? This is insane what we are seeing from Seattle. This team is a very good team. You look at the roster on their team, and they got some great talent. Nneka Ogwumike, Skylar Diggins-Smith, Brittany Sykes, Gabby Williams. Right? You got the young phenom Dominique Malonga. And you're losing by 20 to the Indiana Fever that is basically a bunch of injured players and hardship contracts. Really? Here's the thing. Indiana's a really good team. They are. But I don't think that Indiana, pound for pound, available players going against each other, I don't think Indiana is 20 points better than Seattle. I don't. I think Seattle is just flailing. They don't have an identity anymore. And they're just hoping and praying that Nneka scores 30 plus points. And that's about it. It's just, I don't know what's going on with this team. And Bishop says, Quita, I've been watching you since last season. You've been asking what's going on about Seattle a lot longer than 1 month. I have. I just, yeah. Sterling says, Quita, at some point you just have to say that with Seattle that they are not a good team. You are what your record says you are. Well, yes. Yeah. And their record shows that they're not good. Like, they're just not. Even though on paper, you got some great players. You really do. But you're not seeing some great results. But we did see some great results for the Indiana Fever. Shout out to Aaliyah Boston. Aaliyah Boston, AB, was big time yesterday. And how big time was she? Well, I'm talking about... no, not that graphic. I'm talking about Aaliyah Boston scoring 27 points yesterday. Almost had a double-double. 27 points, 9 rebounds in this game. She shot very efficiently from the field. She was getting to her spots. And it was like, hey, get a ball to AB and watch AB work. And it wasn't just that, guys. It was also the hardship queen, Odyssey Sims. Y'all remember I talked about Odyssey Sims before. When it comes to hardship contracts, when it comes to getting signed on the team late and being able to make some stuff happen, Odyssey Sims is that girl, right? Remember, she played for Dallas on a hardship and came, immediately started to start and immediately made a big impact. And what has Odyssey done with the Indiana Fever? Immediately starts, or basically immediately, and has made a huge impact. 22 points for Odyssey Sims. 3 big-time three-point shots yesterday. She's passing that basketball, getting her teammates involved. It looks like she belongs on this Indiana Fever team. Like, she fit very well. 6 assists for her. She was big time. Big time for the awesome Odyssey Sims, the hardship queen, guys. Right? And of course, you got Kelsey Mitchell, 21 points. So, you got 27, 22, and 21. I mean, yeah. And then what did Seattle do? Well, not much. I mean, Nneka had 17, but that's about it. I'm just saying. At some point, people need to be on the hot seat in Seattle. At some point. Because what we seeing is not what we should be seeing in Seattle. It's just not. Okay? Let's go on. Let's move on, and let's talk about the other game that happened yesterday. We saw the Phoenix Mercury take down the LA Sparks. Final score was 92-84. And I got to say, guys, Kahleah Copper was tired, but she showed up and showed out. Here's the thing, guys. Kahleah Copper on Monday night was in Chicago. She was in Chicago, guys. On Monday night. She played on Friday in Phoenix against Golden State. Was practicing with a team. She on, I believe, Monday morning or Sunday night or something like that. She traveled over to Chicago. Was there for a party that was had for Candace Parker and her jersey retirement. Went on the court at halftime to talk about the awesomeness of Candace Parker. Hurried up and left. Got on a plane to Los Angeles, and yesterday dropped 18 points against the Sparks. So yeah. Shout out to Kahleah Copper. Chicago still loves you. Yesterday we also saw Satou Sabally do her thing as well. Satou finished the game with 19 points. But, guys, the star of the show yesterday, the player who has had her 7th triple-double of the season, a league record, might I add, is the player of the game, Alyssa Thomas. Guys, Alyssa Thomas, I've talked about her a whole bunch today. Yesterday she had her 18th career triple-double. And yeah, that's just what she does. She literally is the triple-double queen. No, is this going to help her win a MVP? No, I don't think so. I unfortunately, I really do think that that Alyssa Thomas will always be number 3 when it comes to MVP voting. Is what she does very elite? Yes. Do I believe that Alyssa Thomas is the most important player on this Phoenix Mercury team? Yes. Do I believe that Alyssa Thomas is more important to Phoenix than Nafisa Collier is to Minnesota? Yes. 100%. Does that mean that Alyssa wins the MVP? No, it does not. Unfortunately, because I really do think it's about points. Like, yes, her assist numbers are crazy. But I really do think that, like, if Alyssa was averaging closer to 21, 22 points a game, something like that, then yeah, I do think that she could have a chance of winning it. But, like, because she's not, and because her game is not traditional, I don't think she'll win ever. But I tell you this, Alyssa Thomas is not the most talented player in the WNBA. She's not, by far. But I do think she's the hardest working. And I'm always gonna be on the AT train because I think she's elite, and she'll probably never really get the respect that she deserves. But you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. 16 rebounds, 15 assists, 12 points for the engine that is Alyssa Thomas. 3 steals. Because yes, Alyssa Thomas and her defense is elite. Yeah, it really is elite. But you know, with all those assists, I do just have to acknowledge 5 turnovers for her yesterday. So not the best, but you know, that's just what happens. Even with that being said, net, she's at 10, which is still really, really good. Still a triple-double. with her turnovers intact. Alyssa Thomas is amazing, and AT is AT. Dog, it just is what it is. It is what it is. She is the heartbeat of this team for a reason, guys. She becomes the first player ever to do a whole bunch of stuff. She breaks her own record when it comes to triple doubles in a season. She previously had the record with 6. But now she has her 7th triple double. And guys, I don't think Alyssa Thomas is stopping anytime soon. She's not stopping anytime soon, but shout out to the engine, because the engine is amazing. Guys, that's it. That's the stream. That's what I have to share with you all. Yes, Caitlin Clark did unveil a logo with Nike, and yeah, that's something that I was going to talk about today, but the CBA was way too important to not talk about, so that was the headline story for today. But maybe tomorrow I'll go through and we'll look at all the logos for players, and we'll talk about them. Yeah. Anyway, to me it looks like a stretched out world, but anyway, I'll talk about that more tomorrow. All right, guys, that's the stream. Again, thank y'all so much for rocking with me. Cool Live says AT is a freight train. Nobody wants to stay in front of that. Yeah, she really is. She really is. Mel says they need to push Kelsey Mitchell into the MVP conversations. The team barely acknowledged her for the past 2 years, and the Fever are 6th seed at best. Cut the bull. Team record matters for Rookie of the Year, but not MVP? ? Well, here's the thing. I mean, sure, is Kelsey Mitchell fantastic and a huge and a big reason why we've seen Indiana not fall off as much as they could have with all the injuries? Sure, but I gotta say, when it comes to my MVP race, I know I focus on my top 3, but I give you a top 4. It is A'ja Wilson, Nafisa Collier, Alyssa Thomas, and Allisha Gray. Now, yes, is Kelsey Mitchell fantastic? She absolutely is. But I gotta say, I think I put Allisha Gray over Kelsey Mitchell in my top 4. I think Kelsey's great, and isn't Indiana pushing her? Like, didn't they just wear MVP shirts for her? Right? But anyway, I feel like they are pushing her. But yeah, I don't think she's top 4. I don't think she's top 4. And also when you look at just what these teams are doing, I mean, I think that also shows why. Here's the thing. My top 4 all have better records than Indiana. Right? A'ja is on a 3rd place Las Vegas Aces team. Nafisa is on a 1st place team, Minnesota Lynx. Alyssa Thomas is on a 4th place team, the Phoenix Mercury. And Allisha Gray is on a 2nd place team, the Atlanta Dream. So, yeah, I don't think that Kelsey Mitchell is truly a real MVP candidate. Now, I 100% agree with teams advocating for their players, right? Just like how Seattle made that proclamation of here's all the people who should win these awards. And I was going through the list, and I'm like, hey, that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to build awareness and engagement, and you're supposed to pump up your players. But at the same time, come on, let's be real. Let's be real, Seattle. That's a similar thing to Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell is phenomenal. However, like, no, I don't think she's a she's a serious candidate in this. It really is. The conversation really is, or it should be, in my opinion, based on just watching games. My opinion is Asia, Nafisa, Alyssa Thomas, and Alicia Gray. That's it. Those are, in my opinion, those are the four that should seriously be talked about when it comes to MVP. But yeah. But I fully agree and support teams advocating for their players. Fully agree and support with that. Fully do. I mean, yeah. I mean, just because Kelsey's not an MVP pick doesn't mean you don't love Kelsey. Like, that's the thing. Like, absolutely. Kelsey's awesome. She is. And has been huge for this Indiana Fever team. You can't deny it. But yeah. I don't really see her getting the vote for MVP. But yeah, we'll see. Anyway, that's all I got to say. I hope y'all have a good one. Y'all have a good one. Be kind to someone. Tell somebody that they matter, because they truly, truly do. And if no one has told you, well, let me tell you guys. You matter. You are important, and I am happy that you are on this earth, guys. Thank you so much for being the awesome people of the internet. Apologies for being a little bit late today, but I really do thank you all. If y'all could, please make sure to hit that like button. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel. I make content all about women's basketball, so if that is your thing, make sure to subscribe. We are starting the transition into college basketball, and so don't be surprised if you see a whole lot more college basketball on the horizon on this channel. I am wearing my 25-year WNBA shirt. I found this in my drawer earlier, and I was like, wow, I haven't worn this shirt in forever. But yeah, I love this. I love this Count It campaign. I thought it was a great one. Anyway, y'all have a good one. And I will see y'all in the next one. Come on, L down says most of y'all matter. Not everybody. Come on, man. Come on. Anyway, let me find my exit. All right, y'all have a good one. I love you. Most importantly, guys, Jesus loves you, and he wants a relationship with you guys. I will see y'all in the next one. See y'all tomorrow. I feel like I keep saying that. I keep saying I'm leaving, but I'm not leaving. Anyway, bye.
Are you ready?
Ready, set, go.